I'd like to really welcome our speakers. It's really kind of them to take the time out to come and speak to you, and I'm sure they've got some really interesting stories to tell about their careers and entrepreneurial developments over the last few years. We'd like to start with Nick, and that's partly because Nick has got to dash off, and he'll, I think, explain why in a moment, perhaps. Yeah? Nick Holzherr, that's right, isn't it? Has just set up a company, so I suppose he's our youngest or newest entrepreneur as part of this group of people who are coming to speak to you. And so in that sense is perhaps just a couple of years, maybe just 1 year ahead of some of you who might want to take those kinds of steps into the entrepreneurial world and actually start your own business. And I know that's not the case for all of you, but it might be for some of you. Okay.
I graduated a year ago, or a bit more than a year ago now, so it's been quite kind of a quick sort of process of getting where I started to now. I think I'm going to first of all start off just about how I ended up working with a business called Quirky. I started off with something totally different, and which is actually quite a strange sort of story of how it actually developed into this. So if I also speak about why I unfortunately need to leave, because we've been nominated for like a how-to web award, which is unfortunately in Romania, so we've been asked to fly out to Romania, and we're only told this yesterday, so unfortunately I need to go straight to Heathrow. So if we talk about how we started off, what we're doing now, we started before we graduated, probably about half a year before we graduated, we were thinking about, shall we start a business or shall we get a job? I came up with a concept of what we were going to do while I was working in my placement year, working for a bank in Germany. And it was basically just on the 12th floor of this glass building. It was boring. I hated what I was doing. I was working in shares. And shares is kind of it goes from a really quiet season to a really, really busy season. And it was in this quiet season where I had nothing really to do, where I sort of thought, let's come up with some interesting ideas. And this is the concept we first started off with. And what it was is we put advertising on coffee cups. The advertisers pay us to do it, and we have to give them advertising space in return. And what we give the coffee customers is a high-quality cup of coffee for a much cheaper price because it's being subsidised by advertising, and then we get money from both sides. And that was the business concept we originally started with, and when we graduated, we thought, right, we're going to go and do this. So from the idea, for about a month after we graduated, we'd been planning it beforehand, we actually came up with this. This was the product we actually had in our hands. We bought these from China, so it was a huge nightmare of buying things, importing goods over. Our first advertiser was a company called VMGL, which run the graduate fair every year. And we thought, right, because we are selling coffee, because we were selling advertising on coffee cups, we almost need to do the coffee as well, because we're selling coffee for cheaper than we would otherwise. And we can't go and tell our coffee company, sell your coffee for cheaper, so we thought, right, we need to do the coffee company as well. So the coffee outlet that we created, it looked something like this. It's a 4-metre tall coffee cup. It's shaped like a coffee cup, and it's made out of fiberglass. We designed it, had it custom built in Birmingham, and usually 2 people work inside here. That's myself, my business partner, and we're the most popular outlet on campus. But it didn't all start quite like that. When we first arrived, we bought these cups from China. In China, you have to buy cups in batches of 10,000. So we had to buy 20,000 cups because we actually have to have 2 sizes of coffee you have to serve. So we bought these cups in and we stored them in our friend's house. Somebody we knew was still at university because we weren't at university anymore. And they were really nice. They let us store all these cups there. And I think I've been asked to talk a little bit about what I learned from it. And one lesson I learned from this, and I think that's kind of illustrated by that, is get everything you can for free, or try and reduce your costs down. Because it's actually really easy to get investment in kind. If you want to try and get cash from somebody, whether that's a bank or from your parents or from anybody, it's really difficult to get money out of people because people don't have much and they don't want to give it away. But getting free stuff, you can get loads of it. So just try and get everything you can for free or a reduced rate. That's kind of the first thing I learned from there. While we were doing this, I was selling advertisement from here. So I was sitting on a park bench just opposite side the coffee outlet we've got. So that was sort of the office that we had at the time. And unfortunately, it didn't quite start off with that nice sort of black coffee cup we had there. It started off because it was delayed. We had it built in Birmingham. We had a huge amount of sourcing problems because the company that made it had totally underestimated how much long it would take them. And this black coffee cup only arrived in January. We had rented the space to sell coffee from September. So from September till January, and we basically sold from one of these and then from a little tuk-tuk as well. And bearing in mind it was snowing and it was all sorts of weather we had to go through. And from that, I think the lesson is perseverance is key, because it's so easy to give up. And we've had so many times in the last year where my business partner and me have looked, one of us has said to the other one, shall we just give this up? It's ridiculous. But we'd invested a huge amount of money into actually setting this coffee company up. And we were and still are to some extent in quite a lot of debt from it. Overall, we spent about £40,000 setting this up, because you don't understand how much it actually costs when you're setting up a business. You have to buy all the equipment, the coffee machines cost £3,500 or something. It just adds up. So we're like, right, we have to carry this on. And me and my business partner have kind of bounced off each other, sort of keep going. So that's kind of where we were. And because we were doing advertisement, here you can see an advertisement, it's very small, but with KPMG. We did some work with QR codes, which is basically like a 2D digital barcode, where 1D barcode is like little lines across. This works in 2D, so you can hold more information on it, and you can scan it on mobile phones. And our concept was, well, if we put these, we were thinking of how to make more money out of the advertising, basically. And we said, well, what we can do is we can put these codes onto the actual cups, and people can then scan the cups with their mobile phones, and they can then pull up more information about the advertisement. So that could be something like, with KPMG, find out more about our jobs, scan it, and it comes up with an application form or sends you stuff by email or whatever. So we started working with QR codes in the advertising that we were doing. And that's really where we kind of, from there, we created a whole different business, which is now actually the only business that we run. So what we did, we first put these codes on our business cards and linked all our contact information to them. And from that, we had loads of people coming to us and say, guys, we really like this, can we have this ourselves? Can you do this for us? And we were, kind of, as any entrepreneur, if somebody comes and asks you to sort of, willing to pay you to do something, you say yes. So we were starting to sell these, and through that we kept improving how we were doing it, and then realised that actually maybe this was a business in itself. It was a really cool opportunity. So we started developing the software to actually to be able to deliver that. And what we have now is basically a content management system for mobile phones. So people can basically put all their contact information into it. They can then add in their Twitter, their Facebook, their images, their videos, everything onto this one it's like a profile, but for mobiles. And we mobile optimize that profile for every single different type of phone, so it works on all different mobiles. And you can then scan it with a generic scanner. So if you've seen QR codes before, you'll know what this is, but it's one of these little codes that you saw a picture of. You basically hold up your mobile phone to it, and it basically loads up information about you. So you've then got things like a phone number, which I can tap, and it will automatically phone the person. I've got things like an email address, where I can just tap the email address and it automatically fills out the email for me. We've got videos online for this if you want. And you can click download to contact, which basically saves all the data straight to your phone. You can then also look at things like videos, pictures, Twitter, whatever you want is all in that one single profile you can share from your business card. Every single person who has a profile with us has this management platform, which they can then go in and they can edit all their data, and they can add, Twitter or whatever they want to do. And what we've done is we've if I go sort of focus on one idea, is kind of the most important thing, because we suddenly within a year we had three things that we were doing, only two of which were really businesses. What we noticed was the advertisement was actually really, really expensive, because we had to go and print these cups, and it cost us about 15 pence to print each cup, to have it, even in China, even when we were buying 20,000. And to make any money on this, we had to actually sell it for about 30 pence. So we're like, well, people aren't going to pay 30 pence for a single impression. So we were like, right, that business doesn't work, so we kind of stopped doing that. The coffee side of things works, but we had a huge amount of problems getting other locations. And with one location, there's two business partners. We can't actually afford to pay ourselves a wage that's any good of just one outlet, so we needed more outlets. But we couldn't actually get more outlets, because it's actually almost impossible to get the permission to put these coffee outlets anywhere on the streets. It's actually really difficult, and that's why there aren't that many out there. So we kind of said, right, we can't expand that. That works though, it's giving us enough money, and through the money we've received from the coffee, we've basically invested that into developing the system we've got here. So what we did, we've got a team of 6 people now. We've got 2 developers, 2 salespeople, myself and my business partner, and that finding great staff has been really what's been key to where we've got to. is finding people who can help you deliver what you can do, and really important that you feel happy to delegate to them and happy to actually let them develop the product, with you and for you. Find yourself a mentor, I would say, is a key thing as well. I've probably got 5 or 6 mentors. Some of them are getting paid through some scheme. Some of them are just like people I've met who I really respect what they've done. I said, would you mind giving me some advice about what I'm doing? That's been really, really helpful for me to kind of develop a business idea. And focus on one idea, I think, is really important. It's something that I'm still learning. We had way too many ideas, and we've kind of stopped doing quite a few of them, and us trying to focus on one idea which is quirky. And that's kind of worked quite well for us, because as soon as we started focusing, we noticed quite a lot of sort of progression on it. Learn to say no is something that's really hard to do, but somebody asks you to do something that's not really what you're trying to do. It's really hard to say no, because obviously it's money, but unless you do that, you're never going to really develop the business you're actually wanting to develop. We've now got an office. We've just moved in there 2 weeks ago, so we've got 6 people sort of crammed into something that's a bit too small for that. We've painted the walls with white wall paint, so you can now paint all the walls like if they're white walls. We've got quite a cool office. It's sort of bright orange, which the employees aren't too happy about. But and we're just the office is just about there. So we've kind of come from doing coffee to doing something that's really very, very different. Just a year down the line. Yeah, unfortunately I'm going to Romania. So, how long have we got?
Great, thank you. Thanks very much,
So,
Nick.
do you guys want to ask, I can probably say for like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
You guys got any questions?
Fire questions away at Nick. He's only got 5 minutes.
Can you explain a little bit more how you got from having the image on the business cards to content management systems for mobile phone? Just a little bit more detail.
Sure. So we started off linking it to pretty much was a single web pages for each person. But then we realised that actually what we wanted to have, in order to make this expandable, we can't go making little mini mobile web pages for each person who wants the service from us. Right, we need some kind of way for them to be able to create their own profiles and manage their own data. So we then, to actually make it a product, something that's actually scalable. Because the way we were doing it, it was more for fun, partly for ourselves. That we weren't focusing on trying to get it scalable. We were trying to make it something that looks good. So as soon as we started saying, right, this could be a business, we needed to make sure that it was actually, scalable and we could get many users doing it without us having too much work. So we developed this content management system, and that's been developed over sort of 6 months, where we had quite a few different versions. The first version was very sort of text-based. You could just have your contact information. People then said, it's developed from users asking us to kind of asking us for new features. So we started off with what I call the minimum viable product, which is basically what's the minimum you can offer somebody so that they'll pay you for it, and that was just text. Then it was like, right, what's next? What else do people want? And that was then, for us, that was videos, Twitter, pictures on their business cards. So we're like, right, let's create that. And we're like, actually, what we need, in order to make this scalable, we need to make a system, like a content management system, where people can actually log in and do that themselves, rather than us do it for them. That's kind of how we've developed that.
And how did you get from, a couple people seeing your business cards and thinking it was clever to such a broad sort of scale?
It was where we saw potential, I think, because for the advertisement, we still do a little bit of advertisement for some of the clients, because they come back to us and say, can we do some more for them? And it's fine to kind of to do that, because it is profitable as long as the client pays the right price. But it's a customer acquisition. The price of actually getting a new customer was so high, because we had to, for each customer to get, it probably took us about 2 months of hassling hundreds and hundreds of different clients saying, would you like to buy our product? It just wasn't worth it, the price to get new customers. So we looked at that and said, look, that hasn't really got that much potential. We can't really, that's not really scalable. It works here and there, but it's not really scalable. For the coffee, we looked at it and go, it works again, but it's not really scalable. And then we thought, right, well, this QR code stuff, I think it is scalable. It's in a market that's really exciting, because it's mobile. In order for QR codes to work, you need the infrastructure of smartphones. And that infrastructure is developing. It's going to be there in a couple of years. It's almost there now. So we kind of thought, this idea has the most potential. Let's put all our efforts into this one idea.